Welcome to the world of fashion, Texas style. If you were under the impression that everything in the fashion industry takes place along 7th Avenue in New York, well, this just goes to prove that is not the case. This is the massive World Trade Center here in Dallas, where right now buyers from all over the middle of the United States, as well as many foreign countries, have come to see what's new in the world of fashions for the next season. And one of the names at the top of many lists to see is Frances Malik. She's the owner of FL Malik Inc., the designer of fashions marketed under the label names Ivy Jane, as well as Uncle Frank, and a few others. It has been an amazing trip for Frances, who started this company in the basement of her home in Cincinnati back in the mid-'80s, and then moving it to her hometown here in Texas, and finally having merchants come to see her fashions at a big event such as this. To tell their company's story, we visited her headquarters, located just a few miles from here in Dallas.
We manufacture women's contemporary apparel. We kind of span different ages, but we like to say we're dressing the real woman, not necessarily just the twiglets out there. There's all different sizing and clothing today, and a lot of it's cut really European and small, and we like to say we have a pretty true fit to the average American woman.
Frances 20 years ago started out with a label called FL Malik. She did away with that label and she wanted to change it up and kind of make it more fresh. So we named the line after her daughter, Ivy Jane. And then, as always designers do, they get bored and they want to branch off. And so then we started Uncle Frank, and that line's named after her dad. And so that line is mainly dresses. So then she wanted something to be named after her mother, and that's how we started the Aunt Wanda line. It's the jacket line. And then Cousin Earl's named after a friend. And that's kind of more younger. She kind of wanted to target more of that younger 20-year-old client that we weren't targeting.
What my customer likes to do is shop local. And I can very easily say, she's a local designer, it's a local company, and that makes them feel all the better. Great designs, easy dressing, makes them look great, fits their lifestyle. I've got Uncle Frank on right now, and I've got a couple of Ivy Jane pieces, and I've got some Cousin Earl pieces at the house. I love them. It works for me as a busy woman.
Is there a way to actually describe your line of clothing? How do you do that?
We go with what's happening in the current market, but then we put our touch on it and put the little twist of novelty and distinction onto the garment, whether it be an embroidery, an embellishment, a rosette, a button treatment, a zipper treatment, or some little unique piece that'll set it apart.
I work in the graphics area, and the graphics area can include anything from web design to poster design. What we decorate with and what we do the shows with has a lot to do with our photo shoots, and we translate that. On the assistant designer aspect of it, I do a lot of embroidery design and silkscreen design. So I'll work with Frances directly. We'll talk about the look and the feel of how we want an embroidery. Like, it may be Latin influence this year or Indian influence, and we'll work out on the computer kind of a schematic drawing of it, and this will be translated and sent to an importer, and the importer will look at it and see how to feed it into their embroidery machines, and then we'll get that back. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
An example of mixing of the prints that we do. This particular garment is mixed as far as the same print, but 3 different colorways of the same print. That's one example of how we mix prints. Other things that we do are bright prints, is this paisley. We're really known for the bright popping prints. We do mixtures of colors throughout a garment is another way that we show color. Embroideries, in the Uncle Frank line, we do more of the little bit subtle embroideries, more of a geometric pattern as opposed to florals or beading and things like you'll find in the Ivy Jane product line.
Explain to me the process of creating the embroidery and the designs. How does that take place?
It can begin with just a simple inspiration. It could be a flower, a picture, some kind of image, a feeling, and then we'll pick it out, translate it, work out a pattern for it, and then maybe the best silhouette for it. Maybe the body comes first, or the color comes first, or the mood.
It's definitely refreshing that they're always coming out with new things. You'll have a lot of lines. There's a certain silhouette or style that will work, and they'll repeat it over and over and over in different colors. You can only do that for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then it gets to be old. And they're really good about getting things new in there that are fresh, that women love. And they give me a wide variety to pick from. This last time, It was really hard to pick from it because it was all really, it looked absolutely fantastic. It's one of the things I complained about is I can't buy it all. It was gorgeous.
As purchasing manager, I'm responsible for purchasing all of the fabrics for the company's behalf and also the trims, which would be buttons, zippers, any kind of trim or embellishment that we have on the garment. I'm also responsible for bringing in the imports. Imports are our finished made garment that is made overseas. Work with the technical designer that we have in-house. She goes through the process of working through all the details, if it's fit samples, to get the fit approved, finalized, get the production colors approved and finalized, and then the lead time on getting it from Hong Kong to Dallas. I'm responsible also for the freight of bringing it in.
When it comes to selling your clothes, how important are the trade shows?
The trade shows are real important because they give us kind of an idea of how the season's going to start, which way the line is trending, and what are the more important pieces in the line that give us kind of a jump on how to place orders for our production. So they're very good in getting our trends started, so we kind of know what things to kind of push forward on and some of the things to back off. As a designer, it helps me for the next upcoming season always to see what the customer is liking or disliking, and obviously give them more of what they're liking and kind of recreate or revitalize or do a little different twist off of what has been selling and what we can move from where they've been.
One of my functions involves doing all the technical flat sketches. I'll do a sketch and show where stitching should be or where a seam should be, and so the pattern maker will see when they're making the pattern where that should be, and we'll do sometimes put like measurements, like how long we want it, if we wanted a 3/4 sleeve or a long sleeve, so they can see that. I usually do them by hand first, and then I'll scan them in, and then in Illustrator I will go back through and I'll sketch it and make it a little more straight and detailed and a little bit more technical. And then for our order forms, which we call our pre-prints that we give to all the customers, we put like a sketch with each style number so that they know what they're ordering compared to what they're seeing.
It's every girl's dream to work at a clothing manufacturer. The colors, the brightness, the creativity behind Frances and what she comes up with, it's kind of overwhelming to see how in the world could somebody think of that many things to come up with each season, over 100 styles a season. It's quite a bit.
What would you say, Frances, is the overall secret to the success of this company?
Determination and tenacity, I think, more than anything, and a lot of it I think has to do with I've been the sole designer from the startup of the company, and so I've evolved with what my customer has wanted, as opposed to another company that the designer base has changes and goes in and out, and designers changes because a lot of time with the onset of a new designer comes a little different approach or quite a bit of change, whereas I stay with my customers and keep evolving, and I haven't changed the person that I am, and the design, I still have the same basic concept that I've started with, so it's not a whole material change each season. So I think that helped us to keep consistent.
It is obvious that Frances Malik is on a roll, so to speak, and that her fashion designs featuring her family names, Ivy Jane, Uncle Frank, and Aunt Wanda, among others, are finding homes with delighted customers literally all over the country. And it all begins right here in Texas. I'm Doug Llewellyn reporting from Dallas.